One of the common themes today in pretty much every presentation that you've heard so far, and most likely all the subsequent presentations you will hear, is about relationships. So what we thought is we'll just go dive in over there and talk just primarily about relationships and what they are and why they matter. But before we do that, a quick round of intro. I'm Ashutosh, and one thing you probably have heard of serial entrepreneurs, and I'm more of a serial internship person. So I did 5 internships over a period of my career and work at various companies and families from
Hi guys, I'm Guha, partner at Bain Capital Ventures.
Yeah, partner at Bain Capital Ventures.
Series A investors in Ashu's company. So, like Ashu, I had a few different internships before figuring out what I wanted to do. The first one was the one where I figured out I didn't want to be a doctor. The second one was the one where I figured out I liked solving complicated, nebulous problems, but I wanted to do that in the real world, not as a researcher. And the third one was the one where I figured out investment banking is terrible.
Oh, he has morals.
You know, subsequent to that, I've been with Bain Cap Ventures since 2007, kind of working my way up the ranks there, and was lucky enough to join a couple of our companies over the years. Bloomreach today is over 200 people. Back then it was 10 people. Really fun time to be there. And I think we'll talk a little bit about thinking about startup roles. And you know, similarly, spent some time with Captora, which, to the theme of relationships, was founded by one of the founding engineers at Bloomreach, and got to spend some time with them when they were 10 people as well. But anyway, we can come back to some of those ideas. Let's dive into... So by the way, we have some state-of-the-art graphics coming up. Ashu spent a lot of time in Photoshop. You're going to be blown away.
Photoshop?
I have not seen those slides. So the topic that I wanted to talk about to you guys is degrees of professional separation. I'm sure many of you guys have heard of this concept of 6 degrees of separation. Back in 1929, Frigyes did some analysis, probably wrote a book and talked about 6 degrees of separation. So what is 6 degrees of separation? Basically, in 1929, he said that, you know, if you really want to reach from one person to another, you want to send them a message, you want to communicate to them, you just want to get to this other person, right? By going from 6 hops, you will be able to get to that any other individual in the world. And it was pretty remarkable at that time. Think about it, there were 2 billion people in the world, and within just 6 people, you could reach to any other individual in the world. But in the last 80 years, the world has expanded dramatically. The population has gone from 2 billion to roughly 7 billion or more. But as this population has expanded, the world has shrunk. It has become a very, very small world. And especially when you come to Bay Area, you will realize that how small this world is. This is how the world's population has grown. In 1929, roughly it was 2 billion. Today it's roughly 7 billion. And there were a number of developments that happened, but 2 that we should take notice of. One is in 94 when Netscape was founded. Completely, everything changed. We entered a digital world. Everything was online. And then between 2002 and 2004, that time period, 3 companies were founded. One no longer exists, MySpace. But LinkedIn and Facebook changed the world. And I'm calling it more like a connected world. So we talk about the social world, but it's really a connection among people, whether it's for professional reasons, personal reasons, any number of reasons. But today we live in this connected world.
I also just had the depressing realization that many of you were not born when Netscape was founded. We're old.
What happens in this connected world is you are no longer out of sight of them. You always see each other. And even if you're not meeting them, you're not talking to them, you may be just following them on the Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn and know about what's going on in their life, what they are doing, how many kids they have, who they got married to, what job they are doing, what job they switched, everything you do. And now simple calculation if you do, I just look at my profile and probably I'm slightly on the higher end of connections, being a startup person. I have roughly 405 friends on Facebook, another 1,000 plus connections on LinkedIn. It will reach roughly 1,200 unique connections. And if you assume that there are 7 billion people in the world, and with these 1,200 connections, in a connected world, it could be, the degree of separation could be as low as 3.2. But I mean, this is extreme because not everyone is connected to everyone, and so 3.2 is not the right number. But you got the idea. And as this has happened, the way the world has shrunken is following. So I did a random sampling of some of the interns, some of you guys over here, and probably there are a few people, but I couldn't find anyone who I'm not connected to within 3 degrees.
Ashu, was it really random, or were you stalking for intern hires?
I did that too, but this was stuff minus n. It worked. But what makes it even more strange is that if you go to live in Bay Area for a period, that number is going to shrink. It won't stay the same. If I look at all the people who spoke today and the rest of the panel, I'm connected to pretty much everyone within 2 degrees. So you will be connected to everyone within 2 degrees. And that leads to me to making this conjecture. As you start to grow in your career, anyone you matter to or anyone who matters to you is within 2 degrees to you. I mean, some people may not have chosen to stay connected on LinkedIn and Facebook, and I'm putting them aside. Anyone who's interviewing with us, any investor that I'm talking to, any investor who's talking to me, any other founder, any other big company person, probably there's only one hop away from me. And that is true for pretty much everyone in the valley. I mean, this is a scary realization if you were to spend time to think about it. So what? I mean, yes, we can talk about this 2 degrees of separation, 3 degrees of separation, but why are we even talking about it? And that leads me to talk about some of the messages around this relationships. Never burn bridges. Like, many times people call me and say that, Ashu, I'm thinking of taking a job. I interviewed at this company, they made an offer. This is another new company which has come on campus and want to interview with them. What if I were to just say no to the first company? Think 10 times before burning a bridge. Anyone you're talking to today, they will get to know you, they will stay in touch, they will keep you. There was a time when what happened in Vegas used to stay in Vegas. Now it stays on Facebook or LinkedIn. You can no longer run away. So whatever you do, your past will keep haunting you. So make sure you don't do things that you will regret. Second important message, whatever you do in your internship, always give your 100%. Many times people talk about like, I'm interning at this company, or I just started this company, and the work that has been assigned to me is not a very interesting piece of work. I don't enjoy it, so I'm not working hard. Or I don't like my team, or I don't like my manager, so I'm not working hard. Don't do it, because people will remember what you did last summer. But at the same time, if you do a good job, people will remember that too. Like, as you go back from internship, one of the job offers that you should be getting is from your current company. Irrespective of whether you like that work or not, you should get that offer. Otherwise, next time you're interviewing, that person is going to ask you, what happened during that internship? Why didn't you get that job offer? Did you screw up something? No, you don't want to be in that position. And finally, focus on building relationships, which everyone has been talking to you about. It is extremely important because there will come a day when you will need those people.
So we thought we'd take some of these concepts and make them a little more tactical. I think one theme you've heard over and over again is about taking ownership. So don't be that guy. Don't be the guy who always blames somebody else, or the girl who always blames somebody else, right? You do have the ability to punch above your weight. If there's any part of the world where no one's going to hold your age against you or your resume against you, this is it. We heard from Mike earlier today who didn't feel like he had to go to college to do amazing things professionally. So punch above your weight, take ownership. It's your opportunity and you can make it count. We've heard, maybe don't take that guy for a mentor, but we've heard over and over again today sort of the importance of working with great people, people you can learn from, people who bet on you. I can't stress this enough. if you catch up with Ashu or I afterwards, we both come from pretty humble beginnings. Somebody had to take a bet on us. Somebody had to believe in our potential and give us a shot. Now, you could take all the ownership in the world, you could be incredibly talented, incredibly bright, but somebody still has to point you in the right direction and give you the opportunities to see what you're doing. And so always look for roles, internship or full-time, where you're surrounded by the kinds of people that will guide you. And while we're on the sort of ownership and mentorship kick, this part matters. You can't multiply, you can't be a force multiplier if there isn't something to multiply. By the way, I think Ashu could be a great Captain Kirk. That totally works. So, as you guys are thinking about what you want to do next and where you want to go, look for places that have that combination of you will have the chance to solve big problems, you will work with people that will teach you, guide you, mentor you, and if you do those things, you can have massive impact. I think that's the best advice I got in my 20s, and I think bringing those three things together in the roles you go after make a huge difference in where you go in your 30s. Questions, guys? I think that's all we had.
My name is Daniel. I'm a PM at Intuit right now. This question is mostly for Indy, but it kind of goes on both your talks. So today, it's much easier to access information. It's much easier to educate yourself on different things. It's much easier to find people that are experts in things. So in venture capital, that's specifically what I'm interested in. Is it better to be a specialist and find something to become an expert in because you have the advantage to solve problems with that skill? Or is it better to be a generalist where you can decide the best approach to take to a problem and solve it that way and maybe find someone who's an expert or educate yourself in the knowledge you need as necessary for it?
Wow, that's a big one. Interestingly enough, I actually think the same concepts we've been talking about all day apply on both sides of the table. You could be the most technically knowledgeable person on anything. But the reality is, early stage companies, the earliest days of a company, are incredibly fragile. It's really less about what you know and more about the team you build around yourself. And so if you're thinking about that from the perspective of an investor, whether I know functional experts on every topic in the world is way less important than whether I know amazing people who have that ability to build something out of nothing on day zero. So it all goes back to invest in relationships, become part of important tribes. That could be joining the Airbnbs of the world that have done an amazing job of putting a team together, or the Bloomreaches of the world that can make the same claim. And 5 years from now, after you've had that experience, if you want to work in venture capital, you'll know that entire alumni group from these amazing companies, and they will all go do amazing things. And I'd say that's a way better force multiplier than developing a lot of really precise expertise for yourself. I don't know if you have thoughts to add to that.
Yeah, the only thing that makes a lot of sense indeed, and the only thing I would add is, in whatever role you are, whether you're a journalist or a specialist, the most important thing to know is what is the limit of what you know and when to seek help.
So this question is for Ashu. 2 questions. How did you know that the problem you were solving with the startup was meaningful? And also, you got a PhD. Did you need your PhD to start a company? Do you recommend an entrepreneur get a PhD?
So let me start with the first one, which is a lot easier. So in our case, what we did was a lot of market research. Depending on the kind of problem you're solving, either you're solving an enterprise problem or a consumer problem. I would say if you're solving a consumer problem, make sure that it is relevant to you in the first place. Don't think about other consumers and I'm solving the problem of other consumers. first of all, it should be relevant at least to you, and then find the people who it is relevant to. In the enterprise world, it's a lot easier. You can do the market study, you can talk to the buyer, potential buyers, and understand their problems and get to the same exercise. Or the second one, whether ESG is important or not, is it useful or not. The most important thing that you learn in your PhD is how to think about problems and how to solve them. You can get the same experience in industry, you can, but what happens in most cases in industry, you may or may not get that experience. But if you're doing a PhD, you're more likely to get that experience. So if you know how to solve those problems, even any problem, right? Especially if you're doing a startup, every day you will encounter a new problem that you've never heard of, never thought of. So you will be constantly learning on the job. But if you know how to learn and how to think about problems, how to break them into small pieces and connect them, then you